Hola, hola, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning to those who that applies to. Good evening, buenas tardes. My name is Christian Lamont, pronouns are he and him, and I'm with Storytelling with Latino Outdoors. The program is called Yo Cuento, which means I count, I matter, and I have a story to tell. We're so excited to welcome you all today to our Latino Conservation Week Photo Contest 101 with Latino Outdoors. Before I start off a few things, I just want to express my deep appreciation for everyone working behind the scenes for this webinar and for Latino Conservation Week, especially and including our Latino Outdoors team and our friends at Hispanic Access Foundation. So, what is Latino Conservation Week and who is Latino Outdoors? So we'll start with Latino Outdoors. LO, as I like to call us, we're all about inspiring, connecting, and engaging Latino, Latinx communities in the outdoors, and embracing Cultura and Familia as part of the outdoor narrative, ensuring that our history, our heritage, and our leadership are valued and represented. So let's talk a little bit about Latino Conservation Week. This year, both Latino Outdoors and Latino Conservation Week are celebrating 10 years. That's right, in 2013, some brilliant minds, some Latina movers and shakers and dreamers got together, and they made these creative and wonderful community organizations and movements. And we're so excited to be celebrating the 10th anniversary, again, of both Latino Outdoors and Latino Conservation Week. So what is Latino Conservation Week? Latino Conservation Week, also it's Disfrutando y Conservando Nuestra Tierra, is an initiative of Hispanic Access Foundation. Latino Conservation Week was created 10 years ago to support the Latino community in getting into the outdoors and participating in activities to protect our natural resources. During this week, community, nonprofit, faith-based, and government organizations and agencies will hold events throughout the country, from hiking and camping to community roundtables and film screenings. These activities promote conservation efforts in their community and provide an opportunity for Latinos to show their support for permanently protecting our land, water, and air. But as I like to say, Latino Conservation Week is also a celebration of comunidad, cultura, and conservation. This happens on July 15th through the 23rd, and there is a wonderful website which we'll be dropping that you can learn more about Latino Conservation Week about. So we are here today to talk about our LCW 2023 photo contest. A lot of you might have remembered the previous years. We've had beautiful photography. We've had some people that have just picked up the camera before and some people that are seasoned pros. So if you are an emerging storyteller, if you are an emerging visual storyteller, if you are someone who's saying like, ¿por qué no? Let me try it. Let me see how it works. This webinar is for you. We'll give you the basics of how to submit your photos. And also, if you've never done outdoor photography, we'll give you a couple of tips on how to do that as well. So to get started, let's start on those tips for outdoor photography. Step one of how to do this. Un segundo. All right, it is a webinar. So step one is get out there and do this. Let's let's start with checking out the webinar, and watch this, take your notes, and then stay tuned on more tips and guides. We'll be having this webinar. We'll also be sharing some social media tips and guidelines. Then we'll also be doing a recorded video from one of our Latino Outdoors photographers, Veronica Miranda, and she'll be giving some tips on, like, well, now you're outdoors, now you've got your camera. What do I do with this? So in the meantime, uh, again, take your notes, check this webinar, record it. We'll have the link available later. And if you need to go back, if you have any questions, Latino Outdoors, Hispanic Access Foundation, Latino Conservation Week, we are all ready and happy to provide some answers for you. So a few things. Tips on outdoor photography. Before we get to step two, one of the things that I like to say is the best camera is the camera that you have with you. So you don't need to have an expensive camera. You don't need to have any sort of fancy equipment or gear. If you do, more power to you. But if you don't, it's okay. So for step number two, which is grab your camera or borrow one from a friend. Um, this step is important because you know, we often like think like, oh, well, my phone doesn't take good enough pictures, or oh, I wish I had a better lens. Like, that's not what this is about. What this is about is telling a story through a frame. So I can guarantee you from Latino Outdoors and Hispanic Access Foundation and everybody else who's going to be looking at your pictures, your phone is good enough. The phone that you borrow or the camera that you borrow is good enough. You do not need to go spend money on a new camera. You do not need to worry about the camera you have. Again, the best camera is the camera you have with you. So so before you grab your camera or borrow one from a friend, there are a couple of tips on outdoor photography that I'd love to share. Step one: plan accordingly. And I'll mention it again in another tip, which is plan ahead and prepare, but plan accordingly. Figure out where you want to go, what day it's going to be. A lot of the similar things that we do when we're planning a hike or to go on a hike with our families, it's all about being aware, being mindful, knowing where you're going to be, letting somebody know where you're going to be. Um, but back to the photography, plan accordingly. A good pair of hiking shoes or boots can go a long way. Then get familiar with your camera settings. I know some of us have phones that we take photos on. Go into the settings, check out what is this. Ooh, you can mess with the focus. Oh, you can mess with the shutter speed. Wow, how is that? Oh, you can zoom in on this one. So take a little bit of time. When you're scrolling on the couch tonight, or at work, if you've got the time to do it, just check out what are my settings, how can I take photos, what does a close-up look like, what does a wide shot look like, what does a vista look like versus an extreme close-up. A lot of the times you want to get that detail, that texture. So if, for example, you're taking a picture of a tree, that bark, the grooves within the tree, that's rich, that's texture. You're telling a story about the object. How old is it? What is it weathered through? What kinds of creatures live on it? Then also, if it's sand, think about the texture of sand. Think about the lighting that's impacting everybody. You see that I have this wonderful backlight, and then I also have this fill light. And fill light is, the sunlight is often providing us with a natural fill light. A harsh light that's on the front, that's your key light. And then your backlight, think about sunset, think about magic hour, which is that half an hour before the sun sets to an hour or a half an hour after the sun sets. Magic hour, golden hour. So think about that. What kind of lighting, what kind of shapes and shadows that brings out in nature. So then plan accordingly, get familiar with your camera settings, bring what you need. If you need a phone charger, bring that. If you need water, bring that. And then make sure, like I said, you don't need a fancy camera. You don't need a fancy Nikon or a Canon. Just bring what you have. And again, if you don't have that, ask somebody who might. Just say, hey, I'm entering a photo contest. Can I borrow your phone for this hike or for this weekend? Or can I borrow your camera? Ask the Dio or the Dia if they've got a camera that they use. Chances are there might be somebody in your community who has one or who might be able to connect you to somebody who does have a camera. Then there are other rules, like use the rule of thirds. Uh, when you look at a landscape, when you look at a beautiful image, let's say your family and your friends, they're out there in the picnic, they're having carne asada. Um, how do you frame this image? Well, there's the left, there's the right, and then there's the center of that. So that goes by thirds. Likewise, there's the top of the frame, there's the lower third of the frame, and then there's the center of the frame. So in your own mind's eye, try to imagine everything in grids. Do you like it to be asymmetrical, where everything's strongly over to the left or to the right? Or do you like symmetrical? Like we all know that Wes Anderson meme that's going on right now on Instagram. Is it right in the center? Which one is the more powerful image? Mess around with it, take a couple of different shots. We're operating in a digital world, so that's one of the benefits. You can take the photo, look at it, regroup, and say, yeah, I liked it, or move around and take another shot. So that leads us to the next tip. When you move around, when you're looking at these things, don't get too close. Be safe. Safety first, absolutely. We'll tell folks, we advise them to recreate responsibly, recrear responsablemente. And that is all about know where you are, be aware of where you are, be respectful of where you are. You don't want to step off trail. You don't want to tumble over something that may be sacred or has special meaning to certain folks and communities. So don't get too close. If it's wildlife, stay away. Use your zoom. That's my best recommendation. Do not put yourself, your subject, or your family, or anybody around you into any sort of harm, especially not to get the photo. It's not worth it. There's always next year. So if you don't get that shot, it's okay. Then try to get a new perspective. Is it a lower angle? You get onto the floor, you get nestled up on the rock so that you can look at somebody hiking towards you, or is it somebody that's walking away from you and you want to lift up the camera over them, or is it somebody that has a beautiful sky behind them and you want to get the sun blocked out so it makes that beautiful Jesus ray, as I call it. Get a new perspective, challenge yourself, think of different ways of photographing the same thing. And then the last one that I'm going to go over in terms of photo tips in the outdoors, be patient. Patience. That was a very, very important one. And that's about just nature doesn't happen on our timeline. Nature happens when nature happens. So if there are clouds in the sky, patience. Have patience with that. If the sun is taking too long for that sunset shot, patience. Be mindful of where you are, be mindful of the joy of being in nature, and then pick up your camera and take that photo. So real quick recap. Step 1, watch this webinar. We've got tips. We're going over guidelines. We're going over how-tos. Step 2, grab your camera or borrow one from a friend. You do not have to own a fancy camera. The best camera that you have is the camera with you. Step 3, plan ahead and prepare. You don't want to go out into nature, whether it's a hike, whether it's a camping trip, a backpacking trip, or a photo trip. You don't want to go out into nature or onto the trail or even in your urban areas without some sort of plan. Think about where you're going. Think about who's going with you. Think about what you're taking with you, and think about when you're coming back. And always, always let somebody know where you are and when you want to come back, or when you're expecting to come back. All right, then we'll move on to step 4. This is where we can start to provide some kind of real basic tips and guidelines, but they are important, and you'll want to hold on to these. And again, we'll be sharing all these tips in social media. This webinar will have a link. You can check it out on our YouTube with our friends at Latino Conservation Week and Hispanic Access. So we'll be sharing as many tips as possible, how to take your photos, what categories there are, and then once you've taken these photos, how do you submit? How do you submit these photos? So on that note, here are a couple of pointers and important key dates. The photo contest for Latino Conservation Week 2023 begins and kicks off on July 1st, 2023, and ends July 23rd, 2023 at 11:59 Pacific Daylight Time. This is important to us. We want to make sure that the submission window is as large as possible. We need to see your photos. We want you to get creative. We want you to tap into that inner visual storyteller. So we're working with Latino Conservation Week and Hispanic Access Foundation to lengthen the time of submissions. This year, we're giving you from July 21st to right before midnight, 11:59 at night on July 23rd. Then voting will occur from July 24th to the 27th, and then winners will be announced on July 31st, 2023. Who may participate? Everyone. And I mean everyone. You're all welcome to participate, regardless of race, creed, ethnicity, gender, ability, sexual orientation, language, nationality. We want you all, whether you're a photographer or not, we want you to participate. We want you to take your shot and then shoot it. So then what kinds of things can you enter? Christian's talking about like going on the trail and take this photo, take that photo. So let me get a little bit more specific with this. What kinds of photos should you be thinking about entering? Well, we invite you to submit up to 3 photos under each of the following categories. We've got Todos Outdoors. We've got Mejor Afuera, Conservation Cultura, Then and Now, and Semillitas Outdoors. You can see them below. Estamos aquí, Mejor Afuera, Then and Now, and Semillitas Outdoors. And so these are the official categories. And we've drawn them from subjects of special interest that are dear to home for both Hispanic Access Foundation and Latino Outdoors. And then each participant may submit up to 3 photographs per category using our photo contest submissions form. Our webpage will be going live and we'll be launching soon. So keep following this space, keep checking back in. Trust us, you will see a lot about Latino Conservation Week photo contests this year. So when you see that, you'll find the photo contest submission form. Please submit 1 form per photo along with a photo release form. Photographs may be also submitted as Instagram posts by tagging Latino Outdoors and indicating the contest category in the caption of your Instagram post. Again, these are the categories below, and these are the ones that you should start thinking about. How do I show this? How do I represent this? When the website launches for the Latino Conservation Week photo contest, you will see more details, more prompts, more ideas as to what we're looking for in these photos as judges, and then what we're looking at in terms of captions, including we want you to do a land acknowledgement. So I will give you a brief rundown of what these requirements look like. First requirement, follow at Latino Conservation Week on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter, on all of your platforms. Then use the following hashtags: Latino Conservation Week, LCW 2023, and LCW Photo Contest. Then make sure to include a land acknowledgement. Put some effort into learning the history of the location you're in. Google and Native Lands app and website could be helpful for your research. Where am I? Who are the traditional and current stewards of this land? Do a little research. Learn while you're doing this. Then answer the question, what does conservation cultura mean to you? In the photo and post caption. Then a couple of guidelines. Photos must capture people outdoors, either participating in outdoor recreation or conservation efforts. And again, briefly, we've got photos that illustrate how conservation is woven into the fabric of Latinx culture. Use the photography to highlight cultural elements not found in the mainstream conservation narrative, with a particular focus on the intersection of the Latinx identity and the natural environment. Then another one, Todos Outdoors. Photos that expand the collective narrative of outdoor engagement so that it is a bit more rich and more complete story of the diverse outdoor community. Then and now, photos that contribute to a more complete representation of all Latinx people. What did this place look like then? What does it look like now? What did what is your interpretation of then and now mean when you look at a landscape? And then Semillitas Outdoors. This is for our youth photographers, age 13 through 17. Photos may depict the outdoors or people in the outdoors, but if you have a classroom, if you have students, if you have children, if you have siblings or mentees, this is a great opportunity for those young and emerging photographers to get involved, to try out what a photo contest looks like, and then also to develop their skills. So we've gone over step one. Watch this webinar already. All right, step one. Step two, grab your camera or borrow one from a friend. Like I said, the best camera you have is the camera with you. Step three, plan ahead and prepare. The same way that you would prepare to go on a hike or a backpacking trip is the same way that you'll want to prepare to go out for a photo shoot. Then step four, submit your photos. Keep your eyes open. Our webpage will be launched, refreshed, and updated with information and submission deadlines and key dates. So keep your eye out on how to submit your photos, and remember to include a land acknowledgement. Then step five, the final step of all of this, is tune in for the LCW 2023 Achievements Awards to hear the finalists. This is a huge, important part of the whole thing because the first step is you listen to this webinar. Second step is you learn more. Third step is you go out and you take the photos. Fourth step, you submit those photos. Fifth step, we've got an open voting period from July 24th to 27th. 3 days to get the judges, 3 days to get votes, and we'll be sharing more about how that happens. But we are so proud to announce that as part of our 10-year anniversary Latino Conservation Week Achievement Awards on July 31st, we will also be announcing the contest and category winners, as well as inviting back old friends who have won in previous years. So we encourage you to tune in for the LCW 2023 Achievement Awards to hear the finalists. And just as a quick recap on all of the above, our categories for this year include Estamos Aquí, Mejor Afuera, Then and Now, and Semillitas Outdoors. The dates of the actual contest are July 1st through July 23rd. And you can learn more about this Latino Conservation Week photo contest from latinooutdoors.org/photo contest. That's it. We're so excited to see all of your photos. Latino Conservation Week is coming right around the corner, July 15th through the 23rd. We can't wait to see everything that you've got. Remember to use these hashtags. Remember to follow at Latino Conservation Week and Hispanic Access. And we will see you on the trails and virtually. Gracias, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day.